us what was happening with his pharmacy down in Florida. And we did maybe 3 interviews, possibly 4 interviews with him. And I asked him, I said, look, let me get some of the other voices who have been affected by the DEA's actions. And he's given us one brother who's an observer, he's a pharmacist. We did that interview maybe a month and a half ago, and now today, the young man who's coming on has a unique story to tell. He's one of the pharmacists who's been targeted, and I'm not going to get into the story because he tells it better than anyone else. And what I think of when I hear these stories, whether it's the black pharmacies or other businesses, I think of how we have reacted to the devastation of Tulsa, Oklahoma, a black town, a black business district being wiped out. Whereas it's the same principle of wiping out black businesses when you're dealing with an individual basis. Individual business over here, individual business over here. There was a group of brothers from Mali who had a pizza store, bakery in Harlem. They're not there anymore. I don't know what happened to the brothers, but they were very enterprising, very nice people. And the brother who owned the shop, he said, he said he worked in a white-owned pizza shop downtown, below 59th Street, wherever it was, below 59th Street. And he said the inspectors would come in once every 3 months, twice a year. He said, with my business, they're coming in once every 2 weeks. Sure. And this is the kind of the inspectors being the Department of Health and sanitation, whatever agencies fall within the jurisdiction of business surveillance. I don't like to use the word surveillance, but monitoring in terms of making sure that the business is done right, that the garbage is disposed correctly, et cetera, et cetera. And you and I don't see what the individual businesses see. And then when we hear one story, we'll stumble into another story, and another one, we see that there's a pattern. And whether in New York City or whether you're in Houston, Texas, or whether you're in Los Angeles, you'll find the same kind of story popping up with different types of businesses and business opportunities, merchants, etc. So anyway, it falls what we are looking at is a contradiction to pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. And one of our leaders, I don't know whether it was Jesse Jackson or somebody else, they said, yeah, but what happens when you cut the bootstraps off? And etc. So
Brother Luke, he told that story.
That
he said, yeah, they tell you, he said, put your bootstraps, they'll tell you when you go to sleep tonight, they cut the bottom of the bootstrap, cut them off.
Luke Abdul, our great brother, may Allah be pleased with him. We grew up in the same building.
What?
We grew up in the same building. My parents were superintendents of 2795 and Bobby Hunter lived on the same block.
Oh wow.
Fred Crawford lived on the same block.
Oh wow.
We just lived doors away from one another. And we came up with the same kind of family support. But the Lieutenant of the Mala, name was Charlie Garland. Big family, nice people. And he was such a brain, and he was, in Islam, there is a saying, I believe it's attributed to the Prophet Muhammad, and peace and blessings of God be upon him. And the saying is that when a believer dies, when a believer dies, when a believer dies, you lose one person. But when a scholar dies, you're losing the equivalent to 1,000. Because they study, they write, they are individuals who try to elevate humanity beyond themselves, beyond their family. So Ruthman was one of those brothers always teaching. And coming from the experiences that he had, he was able to converse in the street, he was able to converse in the corridors of academia and also business.
Okay, so we're gonna, the guest is here, so.
Okay.
I'm glad that you did a nice little, let people know what's going on. How you've been able to get people on so people can get the information.
Indeed.
Okay, so hold on, we're gonna be starting in like 2 seconds.
And this is the Wisdom Table coming to you from the Grand Houses in Harlem, USA. The program that you're about to hear does not reflect the views, attitudes, whimsies, or any other proclivities of the management of this night's development, nor does the views expressed reflect anything on the resident council. However, the program does reflect the research done by participants in the program in live and living color in studio and by Zoom. Once again, this is Respectful Life. The Wisdom Table, the communicators all wrapped into one. And we are having a little reverb on the reverb.
Yeah, we echo it.
I hear my cousins. By virtue of their interaction with the DEA. Our brother is Martin Njoku of Virginia, and thank you for joining us on the Wisdom Table, Brother Martin. Not hearing Brother Martin.
We can hear him.
Not hearing.
I hear him. I hear him moving around. I hear him moving his camera and everything.
Brother Martin, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm
Oh,
here.
yeah, he was there.
Very good. He's
there.
going to the pharmacy to put that.
Yeah, that is good.
Brother Martin, Brother Norman Clement is the vehicle that has brought you to our attention. And he explained that you have a very unique story to tell as part of the scope of what's happening to Black pharmacists around the country. So would you please tell us where you are based and a little bit of your story, and then we'll have other questions that go into the background, etc.
Okay, my name is Martin, last name's Njoku. I am originally from Nigeria, West Africa, but I've lived in the United States close to 40 years. I went to pharmacy school in Oklahoma. When I got out of pharmacy school, I took a job with a Rite Aid here in southern part of West Virginia. And I've been here for the last 30 years. Worked for Rite Aid for 22 years before I switched job with a clinic for 18 months. And after that, I decided that I want to start my own pharmacy. In 2012, that was when I started my own business. And thank God, the business grew well. We had 4 full-time employees. And unfortunately, in November of 2017, 2008, DEA issued an inspection. They came and inspected our pharmacy. And based on the question they were asking, we knew they were, they have issue with one of the drugs we were dispensing, Subutex. And let me tell you a little bit about Subutex. Subutex is an FDA-approved drug, to treat an opioid addiction. In this part of the state where I live, we have a serious opioid addiction, and we have a lot of people dying from opioids. And even the West Virginia Board of Pharmacy, gave their blessing to dispensing of these drugs. And based on that inspection, DEA said, we did not resolve some red flags. This was, the terminology they used to, say we did something wrong. We took our case to a federal court here in southern part of the state. And thank God, the federal judge, did not see what DEA was accusing us of. So they threw it out, they dissolved that suspension. We also had to go before DEA administrative law judge. And the DEA administrative law judge also ruled in our favor, said DEA have not proven their case. So I have a federal ruling and the DEA administrative law ruling in our favor. But, the main issue that I have with this is a lot of pharmacies in this area dispense Subutex. Why am I the only one singled out? Why am I the only pharmacist singled out for dispensing a federally approved drug to treat opioid addiction? Even in the judge, the district judge ruling, he said, DEA ignored the problems, we're having in the southern part of the state. That opioid addiction is a major crisis here. Why are you going after him for remedying the problems? So I feel like, this is a pure targeting, I'm the only black pharmacist, black pharmacist in this part of the state. As a matter of fact, the whole entire state, I think it's about 2, 3 of us as a black pharmacy, black only owned pharmacy. And as a result of this, my business has suffered tremendously. I have suffered a lot financially. So I want people to hear my story. They want to know what's going on here in this, between me and the DEA. So that's why I'm here.
Brother Martin, in winning the 2 cases, well, the favorable um, uh, outcome, both the federal and also the DEA. The DEA has what Norman Clement explained to us. They have their own court system. The judge, the prosecutor, all of that's within the DEA. But you had the unique situation of the DEA judge going along with the judgment made by the federal judge. What, and you said the suspension was dismissed. How is it still costing you in your business time and money and effort?
Yeah, here is the issue that DEA ignored. When we were in the federal court, the U.S. attorney, said, well, your business was not impacted, by the DEA action. I said, yes, it did. Once the DEA takes, once they take your license, once they put your license, suspended, you lose the wholesalers, you lose the insurance contracts. Once you do that, your business is gone. So their action, impacted my business. I have lost almost 80% of my business.
Okay, the insurance contract is not renewable. Was it renewed?
Once the DEA takes the action, insurance pull their contract. Now I went back to them, to get those, get the contracts back. But here is the problem the DEA don't understand. Once a patient leaves your pharmacy, it's hard to get him back in.
Right.
You have been stigmatized, you have been put on TV that you did something wrong, you are automatically, been looked upon as a criminal.
Mm.
So I have had people say, oh, that's the pharmacy over there, he's doing some shady stuff. So that kind of statement, that kind of, that kind of a feeling towards you, it's hard to get him back in your business. So that's the struggle that I'm having right now. For the last 1 year, I have spent over $160,000 in legal fees. I still owe my lawyers. The business is not bringing that money in. So it's to me, I'll use the word, this is pure economic lynching. That's what I call it.
Mm. How did you become aware that this was happening with other Black pharmacists?
I got a call from Norman. Norman Clement called me. Apparently, he saw my case. He read it online. He was the first one that contacted me, and he wanted to find out more about what happened. So that's how, I got in touch with Ricardo, and that was how I got in touch with. I think there's another guy. I've forgotten his name, but anyway, that's how Norman was one that put me in, that actually connected me with other guys who were having the same problem with the DEA. Even though in my own case, it involves a different drug. Mine was only based on Subutex,
Mm-hmm.
not on opioids.
Mm-hmm. How extensive is this net that the DEA has that you're aware of? In other words, how far west, how far north, how far south has been revealed that the DEA's actions are the same and similar with other Black pharmacists?
Well, it's hard, it's really hard, to answer that question, but all I can tell you is the West Virginia Attorney General did a study to find out why we got to the point where we are with opioid crisis. And in his report, he blamed the DEA for the opioid crisis, because, according to his report, he said every year DEA will increase the quota of opioids being manufactured, and opioid being supplied, to change, so in essence, it's kind of tough for me to answer that question right now. It is.
Well, I'm asking in terms of what, Norman Clement became aware of you, and there are other pharmacists. What other pharmacists are you aware of outside of, well, you said it's only about 3 or 4 black pharmacies in the state that you're in. Norman Clement is down in Florida. Where else have you heard of black pharmacies being impacted? Is it just you and Norman Clement that you're aware of?
I think there's a Michigan. I've heard of a guy in Michigan, also a guy in Texas.
Right. Wow. Got it. And the lawyer that you are using, is that a lawyer that is representing some of the other black pharmacies, or what? Explain.
No, this is my my lawyer is only representing me, just me.
Right. Okay. He hasn't subsequently represented other black pharmacies. Is that so?
The lawyer that I have, he's here in Charleston, West Virginia. He's only representing me. I'm quite sure he's been in communication with some of the lawyers who are representing other black pharmacies, like Norman Clement.
Got you. And you mentioned you mentioned that the employees of your pharmacy, and when it was before DEA's action, you were employing 4 full-time folks on your staff?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I have a 4 full-time, and I had them before the DEA action came.
Are they still able to be employed by you?
No, they're not employed. I had to lay them off. I had to lay 3 of them off. I only have 1 right now.
And how many customers did you lose? Did you estimate that? You said your business has fallen off 80%. How many clients would that possibly amount to?
Well, it's hard for me to put that in numbers. I look at it, on percentages. I really don't know exact numbers, but I go by percentages of my business. I was doing, let me tell you, I was doing almost $300,000 in sales a month. Now I'm not even doing a $50,000 sales a month.
And in terms of when you step back and look at your business and the impact of the DEA on your business, who has benefited monetarily? Is it pharmacies nearby? Is it chain pharmacy? Just your observation. Who's gotten the business that you lost?
The business that I lost went primarily to Walgreens, the big chain.
How far away from your business would that Walgreens be?
I would probably say about a half a mile.
Okay, right in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, the same street. We're on the same street. Yeah, Main Street. Yes, we are. What
does your business have in terms of attracting clients going before the DEA's action? What were the positives of your business that would attract folks who would come to you and not to another pharmacy?
I will tell you this, it's the way we care for the service that we provide, the compassion that we have, the things that we, the way we take care of them, like we are, I always tell them, I said, we are living this town, we know each other. Our kids grew up together. So the personalized service that we provide is what brings them to us. They don't get that, from the big chain. I worked for Rite Aid for 22 years. There are things, you weren't allowed to do. And I'll be honest with you, that's one of the driving reasons that I said, I'm going to start my own business so that I can care for people more, better, care for them. So we were like, part of the community, so that's what they loved us. And when I went to the DE administrative law, hearing, 3 of them came to testify on how well they were taken care of. They could not have gotten the same treatment, the same care at the big chain. So it's the level that, we go that extra mile, to take care of folks. That's what brings them to us.
your situation, how much of a surprise is your situation to you? And when it became known to associates, friends, I'm talking about outside the pharmacy area, um, how surprising was it? Did it generate, or and they do this all the time to Black businesses, or I'm completely surprised that this would be happening in America?
Okay, I mean, could you rephrase that? I didn't understand the question, please.
The what reaction have you gotten from family members, people in your family circle, people outside of your family circle, people in business, whether it's uh, folks who've been folks who are Nigerian by birth, folks who are born here in America, whether they're Black and white. How much of a surprise has it been of your situation once they became aware of it?
Oh, yeah, I had a friend, who's a lawyer in Dallas. Apparently, he saw the case online. He said, "No, I don't believe." He's a man of integrity, and I don't believe that.
Wait a
And
minute,
I've had.
he said, I don't believe what you're telling me. That's what he said to you?
Yeah, he said, I don't believe, what that you are capable of doing what the DE accused you of. And I've gotten
Okay.
I've gotten the same response from local people here. They say, no, we know it's just a big, government overreach, so we know who you are. So I have people a lot of people supportive of me, based on my character. So I've had some people call me and said, we don't believe what's going on with you.
Brother Martin, in terms of the what are the questions? The DEA. Okay, the DEA, what we are led to believe as consumers, the DEA has the capacity of surveilling operations to send in false patients. Let's say we want to have something filled out that's not legal. They have the capacity to do that. And what you're saying, in light of the reaction of others to your case, what you're saying is that that would have been something that would have surfaced, that the high integrity labeling of your business would have surfaced before the DEA took any measure to suspend your license.
Well, I'll be on, we run a very clean up, I run a very clean operation. I just don't fill a prescription for anybody who walks in there. So, the thing, the DEA makes me out to be a criminal. We are governed by rules, by the federal and state, on how to take care of prescriptions, especially controlled drugs. But what they're saying that, ignoring, the red flags and all those things, So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm just, it just, it's so painful. It's so painful. So painful.
And your family, who's affected, just in terms of numbers, your family?
What's that? I'm sorry. What was that question?
Your family, okay, in terms of your business, you had to lay off 3 employees. How many people in your family have been affected by the loss of your 80% of your business?
Well, my ex-wife, was, she's still part of the owner of the business. Yeah, she's still impacted by the DEA action.
Right. Children? Martin, do you have any children?
Yeah, I have two daughters, both married. One of them is a pharmacist too.
Oh, very good. The fact is that once an action like this happens, it has a wave effect, a ripple effect occurring not only in terms of your business, the immediate business, but also your family. And what about your health?
What about my health?
Yes, in terms of the stress.
Oh yes, I know. I have a constant anxiety right now. I mean, I've never had anxiety problem. I've never had a depression problem. You know, I live with anxiety. I live with fear, and I'm just, my blood pressure, is, I'm trying to keep it under control by managing my anxiety. But yes, it's in my health is taking a toll right now. It is taking a great deal of toll.
And do you lease or do you own the property where the pharmacy is?
The property is leased.
Is leased. And what would be your advice to folks who are considering, not necessarily folks in the audience, but folks who are considering going into the pharmacy business? I'm talking about Black folks.
Is it what is say that again? I'm sorry. What is what?
What would your reaction be? What would your advice be to individuals who are contemplating becoming pharmacists, Black individuals becoming pharmacists?
Well, one of the things that I would advise them based on my experience with the government is just be careful. Just make sure that you have a great deal of documentation. When a patient walks in, I'm an old school pharmacist. I've been out of school almost 30 years. You don't do that anymore. You have to make sure you document everything that you tell a patient. Make sure it's written somewhere, because what the government is doing now, they want us to surveillance. Check everybody that walks in there with a controlled prescription. We have to document what we say to them. We call the doctor. Everything has to be documented. When I was in the federal court, I told them I'm guilty of that. I didn't. What I told the patient to do. The things that I asked them to do. I didn't write it down. But they want everything written down. So my advice to a brother sister who wants to open a pharmacy is please document everything that you discuss with a patient. Have it in the computer, or you have a file. Make sure everything is documented properly.
This is the Wisdom Table coming in from the Grand Houses in Harlem, USA, based at 125th Street, Madison Avenue. I am LEROY, co-hosting of the senior citizens who are part of the Wisdom Table. And we also have in studio our engineer, Doug, and he may have a question for you, Brother Martin.
Thank you, Brother. Brother Martin, you said your daughter was a pharmacist. What did you tell her? What did she say to you? Because I know our daughter was. So what did your daughter say to you? And what, because she's a pharmacist, so, what was that?
My daughter is a pharmacist. She was, she came home the same day, this happened. She was surprised. She was shocked. And today she's still, my kids, my two daughters, they know my character. They know who I am. So everything that happened on that day or still happening to me is still a shock to them. Both of my daughters. They don't believe, this was fair. They don't think it's fair the way, they came after me.
Has that changed your daughter's perspective as a new school pharmacist? Has that changed her perspective? Is she looking over her shoulder now?
Well, my daughter, who's a pharmacist, what I've been trying to guide her through this, through my own, experience. She works for public. She works for the food chain. But I always tell her, is just be careful, handle things, just make sure you handle things well. Something that you think you're doing, make sure it's properly documented. I'll stress to her to document. Don't tell, somebody something and say, oh, that's the end of it. No, because you never know when the government, DE going to come out and say, what did you do? What, show me what you did. See, DE is using this corresponding responsibility, to come after us. They are using so much, it's like it's a catch 2020. And let me tell you what is happening right now. We got a lot of people suing a big chain, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, for refusing to fill their pain medication. So what does that put you as a pharmacist? It's like you feel it, you're in trouble. You don't feel it, you're in trouble. And we have a board of pharmacists issuing a warning to pharmacists who are refusing to fill a controlled drugs, like in the state of Alaska. So it's where do we do, how do we do our job?
Okay, you're doing the right job, not the right job, you're doing the right thing, and at the same time being accused of doing the wrong thing.
Yeah. I mean, here's the problem that I have in my case, opioid crisis was not, contributed by little business like me. The big chains played a major role in polluting this thing. I mean, CVS have been fined, when when they go into the big chain, they find them. They don't take their license away from them. But little people, somebody like me, they come in, they just want to wipe me out. Everything that I have worked for the last 40 years, all my hard work is gone. It's gone. It's like a double standard. You treat the big chains, different from you treat the little one like me or Norman Clement. It's a different treatment.
Mm. Those companies are white. Now, could I ask one more question? So, Brother Martin, do you think this has anything to do? Because I find it interesting that they're coming at you because they think you're over prescribing a drug that helps people to get off of opiates.
Yes.
That's just crazy. When you said that's really crazy. They think you are giving people too much medicine to stop them from having an opioid problem. And they had a problem with that. That's crazy. I mean, am I right? Am I saying that right? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, opioid addiction is a serious issue. It's a crisis.
So do you think that it sounds like this is like a backlash from the opioid crisis? They're trying to show that they're doing something and they don't really care. It sounds like they're coming after the people who are trying to help, like you. I mean, the fact that you have a drug, this drug we talked about, is to help prevent opioid. It's not an opioid, right?
Yeah. Yes, there's the two drugs, that are approved by the FDA to treat addiction: Subutex and Suboxone. The difference is one has the naloxone, but they're equally approved, to treat addiction, because when I was in the DEA administrative court, the government expert was trying to, argue with the judge, that one is more addictive than the other. The judge said, "I don't think so, my friend. They all have equal abuse potential." So, I mean, the government, their, argument is, why are you, dispensing Subutex, to these people, Yeah, they have, addiction problem. So why can't we? Yeah, go ahead.
Brother Martin, let's just be clear for the audience out there. The pharmacist does not write prescription. Am I correct?
No, we don't write prescription. No, we don't.
Okay, so somebody walks in with a prescription from a doctor and they go to the pharmacist and they say, "Let me have this. I got approval from a doctor." Yes? That's in case somebody's from Mars and don't understand how the system works. You walk into the pharmacist and say, "Here's my prescription," and then you follow the rules and you do that. The pharmacist, he doesn't or she doesn't write any prescriptions. Am I right?
Yeah, we don't write prescription. We don't write prescription.
So I'm a little befuddled as to why they would be attacking you when you're not writing the prescription. Why don't they go talk to the doctor who, if there's somebody writing too many prescriptions, why wouldn't they just go to the doctor? Why are they attacking the pharmacist? I don't understand why that's happening.
Well, I think it's much easier for them to come after me.
Oh.
It's an easy fight for them.
Oh, okay. And it looks like they're doing something by going after what we would call low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Got it.
It shifts the onus to the pharmacies. Doug just said or pointed out that the doctors write the prescription. The pharmacist fulfills the prescription.
That's it.
If the thing is suspect,
Go to the doctor.
at your level, at your point, um, you don't fill it. How does that work? If you get a prescription that's suspect, play that one out for us.
Well, the doctor writes the prescriptions. According to federal law, they said, the responsibility, the doctor has, you as a pharmacy, has the same responsibility. When somebody walks into the pharmacy with a prescription for controlled drug, we screen them. We don't feel anything, every prescription that walks in there, we screen them. We want to make sure these people that's, they're getting it for a good medical reason. Like in my case, we screen them. We ask questions on the Subutex. As when I talked to this patient, I said, "What brought you to this point? How did you get to the point where you need a treatment to get off addiction?" That's when you hear all this, stories. I live in a state where outdoor is a very popular. We have people doing 4-wheeler here. People hunt. That's a lot of people.
You get hurt.
That,
you hurt doing that.
Yeah, they got into, they started taking pain medication because of accident, 4-wheeler accident.
You get hurt.
So, and the thing, when they start treating them for pain, people get addicted to them now. They want to get off of it. That's why I come in and ask them, how did you get to this point? What brought you to the point where you're going to need a treatment? So I just don't feel it, with these people, we talk, we interview them, make sure they're, they have a, problem.
And Brother Martin, I used to be a basketball player, so people, when you're a basketball player, everybody knows you're getting hurt. And one of the guys on the team was an emergency room doctor, one of my teammates. And when you get hurt, he would say, "Okay, he would, like, if I have something wrong with my knee or something, I don't need pain medicine," he could call a pharmacist and call it in. But he told me that whenever I needed something that was for pain, he had to give me a prescription and I had to take the prescription to the pharmacist. So the system is set up so that if you're getting pain medicine, the doctor cannot call the pharmacist and say, "I'm sitting over Joe so-and-so, blah, 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 give him the pain medicine." If you're getting pain medicine, you have to, they can't call that in. Is that still the truth there, like in Oklahoma? Can a doctor call in a pain medicine prescription?
The doctors, you mean can the doctor call in a pain medication into a pharmacy?
Right.
Only in an emergency case. Doctor can call in, like Schedule 2 drugs, those are not allowed to be called in. They can only call it in, for only emergency, like for 72 days, 3 days, 72 hours. 3 days supply.
3 days worth of pills. I got you.
Yes. And they have to follow that. Yeah, they have to, when they call that emergency prescription, they have to mail you in a written prescription covering that emergency period. Now, yeah, anything outside the Schedule 2, they can call in, like Tylenol with codeine, they can call in.
Okay.
Tramadol, they can call in. And right now we have an electronic way of prescribing. Most doctors use electronic to, send prescription to us. And these are DEA, verified sites, where you can't just go there and send a prescription electronically. It has to be DEA monitored. So we just don't, get a doctor, out of blue, call it a pen prescription. It's very rare. It's extremely rare.
So Martin, why if they have an electronic way of doing it, why are they writing prescriptions? Why don't they just electronically making it available? The pharmacist goes to the electronic interchange and say, "Okay, you've been vetted already." Why are they writing prescriptions, and then the enforcement agency then comes in and drops the hammer on people when they don't have to write these prescriptions? They can do it another way. Why do you think it's being done this way?
Well, the thing is, we are, this, profession is it's constantly evolving, like right now, I mean, they're encouraging a lot of doctors to, use electronic prescribing, and especially those with Medicare Part D, they're encouraging them, to use the electronic, because the electronic way of prescribing, to me, is more secure. We can, keep eye on a lot of, bad guys, so it's just, my own thing is, I thought I was doing the right thing for the patient, but right now I'm paying a big price for doing what I was taught in school, to care for patients, to care for them.
Yeah,
That's,
you can see the pain in your face, man.
because I live in pain, brother. I'm not lying to you.
No, we see it. We watching you. We looking at you right now. You can see that you're really, having a hard time. Particularly, and we all been there when you trying to do something right, and then somebody comes and hit you in the head with a bat. When you are almost, and no one told you wasn't doing, you were doing the right thing, and everybody knows that. I mean, he was doing something criminal. They not lock people up. That's one thing we know about these people. But that's obviously never doing it. When you have a business and you get to lose your business through no fault of your own, it's heartbreaking. And this is a heartbreaking story to listen and watch you talk about it, because you can see that, and we saw that with Dr. Clinton.
Yeah.
He had the same look you had on your face. He had that same look like, can you believe this shit? I mean, excuse my friend, but he had the same look you have, like you can't believe it.
But the thing, is when I started this business, I went to local banks, and none of them would loan me money for business. None. None. So what I did was, I used every penny out of my 401k to start this business. I have no retirement right now. I invested my 401k in this business. Before the DEA came, my business was grossing $3.7 million sales a year. I grew this business out of, with my 401k. So it's nobody gave me a dime, to start the business. I started with my own money. At the end, look where I am right now. I'm losing everything. It's painful. It's very painful. Some days when I come in this house, I don't even want to see the next day. I just want to go. I don't. It's very painful.
You got to keep fighting, man, because you know what? You never know what will show up that will turn the corner. You know what I mean? Sometimes, they'll have your back, you have your bags packed at the door, and something happens. You got to keep fighting, man, because you never know. Because this is the pattern of what they're doing, and you're right. They're going after the low-hanging fruit. They're not taking the license. They're not besmirching the big companies, the big pharmacies. They're not doing anything. The place where your daughter works at, if they came in there, they're going to pay a fine and keep it moving. They got to have a way to make sure that everybody wins. And that's what you don't see a lot of stuff.
Brother Martin, in terms of correcting this situation, what does it take? What would have to happen for the situation to be corrected?
Great question.
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Only thing that I ask God every day, that I pray to God, will help me to rebuild my business. And right now, everywhere that I turn, the door is closing. Every door is closing. It's, I have a business. Bills. I have bills to pay. It's just every door is closing. I have not asked anybody to give me any help. I have not asked for handout. I have worked hard. I put in 12 hours a day so that I can get to the point. And mind you, I came to, I came here as a student, I went to college on my own. I didn't take nobody helped me. I put myself through undergrad and grad school. So I've done everything for myself. It seems like everything that I have worked with is being taken away from me.
Give up, man.
It's not fair. It is not fair. It is not
Nothing
fair.
fair. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Okay.
Don't give up.
Have you I'm just asking the question, just on that list. Questions that would possibly be asked by people in the audience. Have you sought help or assistance of any kind from the political representative in that area, the congressperson, the senator, when I say?
Yes, I did. When the DEA first came, I contacted my senator, Joe Manchin. And the reason I contacted his office was the Medicaid withheld my payment after the DEA came. For 2 months, I could not get them to release over $100,000 of payments to me. So I did contact his office, but didn't have, till today, I didn't hear from his office. Nobody from there called me back.
You gotta stay on them. You gotta stay on them guys.
Okay. Yep. That was the senator, no congressperson?
Nope. Nobody got, they didn't get back to me till today.
And the name of those two drugs that they charge you with overprescribing. Would you spell those out for us?
Yeah, you mean the drug?
The drug that.
Yeah, it's Subutex.
Spell that.
It's Subutex. Subutex. Subutex.
Was it just one or two of them? Was it just
What
one
was that?
drug?
I'm sorry.
Was it just one drug they were charging you with?
That was this was the one the DEA had a problem. But when they came, did inspection, we stopped filling this prescription because we took it upon ourselves. They didn't ask us. But here is the problem with the DEA. When we went to the federal court, they said, "Oh, we continued to fill them after the inspection." No, we didn't. We didn't. The judge even saw it. The judge said they did not continue. Apparently, you had a problem with the drug. They took it upon themselves to stop. And that wasn't enough. That wasn't good enough for them. They were determined, to shut me down, to target me, to economically lynch me. This is just, destroying somebody's life. Meanwhile, other people are getting away with more serious, serious violations. To me, I feel like this was a target. I'm the only black pharmacist in this area. So it's obvious. It's obvious they just want to take me out, destroy my business, destroy my life.
Okay. All right, Brother Doug, any other question as we conclude?
No, I just want to tell the brother that this is how American capitalism works. You have to continue to fight and don't give up and try everything. Don't give you no option. And stay after the politicians, man. You gotta stay on the press, but they won't call you back. You gotta be the press. Because you got, you are the job. So keep up the fight.
And Norman Clement fighting the way he's been fighting, and then searching you out. See, that's the major thing. It's one thing about the injustices being hidden, uncovered, or covered up. It's another thing when they are revealed to the general public, specifically our own community, the Black community. There is something actionable in that. The system depends on us believing that it works for everyone. If we begin to question that, then either they continue what they're doing or they come up with a correction. Just one clarification. You did get your certification back, your license back, whatever they took.
Yeah, the DEA registration license. They gave it back to me, but it's still not over with them. It's still not over because yes, back in July, DEA agent, U.S. Attorney's Office and the West Virginia Health and Human, 3 of them went to my former employee. They went to her house to interview her. They asked her, did the lawyer coach you on the things that, The lady said, all these things, all these questions you're asking me, it's already been addressed in the court of law. They're still digging to find something to incriminate me. It's so I have my DEA license back, but I don't know when they will take it back. So it's not over. The fight is not over.
What you're saying is that they are looking for ways to undo the decision made by the federal judge and by the DEA judge. They're trying to come up with something that would see they did this.
That is correct. Yes, they
are still digging. That's the American way.
You said the Department of Justice was involved?
Yeah, the U.S. Attorney's Office, it was three of them went to this lady's house. She wasn't at home. They went to her workplace. Just trying to see if she will, turn on me. She said, I have already testified what the question that you're asking me, all these things has already been addressed in the federal and the DEA administrative law court. Something to incriminate me.
Him and Clemens and the other brother, the pharmacist guy who was the one who was talking. Yeah. We should try to get all of them together, man, so people can really get a full flavor of what's going on, so that that how these are the normal tricks that they use. This has happened throughout history. This is how they do it. See somebody doing well, and they want to. Something's got to be wrong, but you're not supposed to be doing. You see them doing things, and doing it the right way, and then he wins in court, and they still not happy. So you got to always keep fighting them, because that's just how it is.
Martin, this is the last question, and that is in terms of your participation in the community, immediate and outside. Did you publicly, in other words, that which will be seen by the public or by any agency, make a contribution to any group that would draw your business to their attention?
I'm sorry, repeat that question. You were breaking up.
Okay, the question is, in terms of your community involvement, whether it's a local church, whether it's a local boys club or organization of any kind, did you make any, by way of your business, did you make any contributions to an organization that would be subsequently targeted or branded by the government as not fake?
No, I did not. No.
You're guilty of running a great business.
Yes. By being black.
Did you hear that, Brother Martin?
No, I didn't. What did you say?
You're guilty of running a great business while being black at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think, the business, the business, it surprised them, the thing is, when you do a great job, because God has given you, the support, God has blessed you. So it's just, I wasn't bothering anybody. I was minding my business, so I was doing everything, The house that I live in right now, thank God, this house was built in 2006 before I started the business. If my house would have been built right after I started the business, they would call it a drug. It was built with the drug money. So I am living in predominantly white state, in a predominantly white area. I have done exceeded my expectation. I never thought I would even, be at the point I was before the DEA came. So it's being who I am, being black. Correct. It's easier for them to target me. So I'm just, I'm sick. I'm pain. I feel pain all over my body. This week I thought about. I'll be honest with you. This is probably, I haven't said it to my girls. I thought about packing my stuff and heading out, just going nuts. Just get out of here. I'm just leave everything here for them. They can have it.
Well, it's at that point in stories of success, that success is right there at the door.
Correct.
And keep that in mind when there's a supreme being, and I'm not talking about a mystery God. There's an energy that we all can plug into. The God in us plugging into this energy outside of us to give us that reserve that will enable us to go to the next level, the next step. And your existence in light of the onslaught from them, your existence is a victory in itself. How come this Negro is still around? How come he's still fighting? So, in the tradition of our culture, ancestors are there waiting to be called upon and to do what they do. So, Brother Martin Njoku, I want to thank you very much
Thank
for your
you.
participation, and we will follow up with Norman Clement and maybe one or two of the lawyers involved in the different cases. So we have an expanded panel and get an even greater view. Because as long as we talk to you, there are other, it's like an onion skinning. Peel this one back and then this one back, other stories that you have are revealed in the interview. But thank you very much, and God bless you and your family, brother.
Thank you for letting me to voice my opinion and let you know what is going on with me. Thank you for hearing my story, and may you all be blessed.
Thank you, brother. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls in the listening audience and viewing audience, this has been another session of the wisdom tape. And we like to put it in the terms of Dr. Bell Bowles to make these information sessions actionable. There's some action that you are able to take when you hear and see this interview. You can link it on to someone else, you share it with someone else. You can begin to talk about the injustice to young brothers and sisters who may be in a different business, but naive as to what can happen to legitimate Black-owned businesses. And we thank the Most High for blessing us with the opportunity to be with you and you to be with us. And we thank the Resident Council of the Grand Houses for hosting an independent station that's available to the community. God bless you all with a wonderful and a fantastic day.
I just see, yeah, that this is an emergency. Yeah, so make it we live in a world